Well, it's not my first huge.
Remember when everyone said Coco Gauff was untouchable? That the American prodigy was basically printing Grand Slam titles like they were on a conveyor belt? Well, Indian Wells had other plans. Eala just walked onto that court and dismantled Gauff like she was reading from a corporate takeover manual, not a tennis playbook. But here's the kicker. Some analyst had the audacity to call it luck. Luck! As if Eala accidentally won by tripping over her racket and landing on the trophy. Stick around because we are breaking down why this was not luck, it was a calculated execution. And trust me, what Eala did next will have you questioning everything you thought you knew about modern tennis. Quick favor, if you are loving this content, hit that subscribe button. Over 92% of viewers have not subscribed yet. It costs nothing but means everything to us. Already subscribed? Awesome! Thanks for the support. Now back to the main event. Let us set the scene. Indian Wells, the desert sun beating down. Coco Gauff walking onto the court with all the confidence of someone who has corporate America, Nike endorsements, and a highlight reel that could make Roger Federer jealous, backing her up. She is the golden child, the next Serena, the face plastered on billboards from New York to Los Angeles. Meanwhile, Alexandra strolls in like she just finished reading Sun Tzu's Art of War during her warm-up. No fanfare, no massive entourage, just cold, calculated focus. Picture this. Gauff bouncing on her toes, hyping herself up, while Eala stands across the net with the kind of stillness that makes you wonder if she is about to play tennis or negotiate a hostile takeover. The contrast was not just visual, it was philosophical. One player representing the establishment, the other representing something new, something the tennis world was not quite ready for. From the first serve, you could tell something was different. Eala was not just playing tennis, she was dismantling systems. Every shot had purpose, every movement was efficient. While Gauff was expending energy like she was trying to power a small city, Eala moved with the precision of a Swiss watchmaker. Biomechanical efficiency, folks, that is the phrase you need to remember. Gauff would wind up for a forehand like she was auditioning for a Marvel movie. Eala, compact swing, minimal effort, maximum damage. But the real genius was not in the power, it was in the placement. Eala was not trying to overpower Gauff, she was outsmarting her. Drop shot here, lob there, a cross-court angle that had Gauff scrambling. Every point was a chess move, and Gauff was still playing checkers. Now let's talk about the psychological warfare, because oh boy, this is where it gets spicy. Eala didn't just beat Gauff on the scoreboard, she got inside her head and set up a timeshare. You could see it in Gauff's body language, the frustrated racket bounces, the confused looks at her coach's box, the mounting realization that nothing she tried was working. Eala's discipline was surgical, no emotional outbursts, no visible frustration, just relentless focus. Meanwhile, Gauff was having full conversations with herself, trying to figure out why her A game suddenly felt like a C-. The pressure was not just from Eala's shots, it was from the realization that she had been thoroughly outplayed. And when that realization hits, game over. But here's where the narrative gets really interesting. Some analyst, sitting comfortably behind a desk, probably sipping overpriced coffee, had the nerve to call Eala's victory luck. Luck! As if Eala just stumbled onto the court, accidentally hit a few good shots, and whoops, found herself with a W against one of the top players in the world. Let that sink in. This is the same mentality that dismisses any upset as a fluke because it doesn't fit the pre-written storyline. Gauff was supposed to win. The endorsement deal said so. The rankings said so. The media hype machine said so. So when Eala comes in and rewrites the script, well, it must have been luck. Can't possibly be skill, preparation, or strategic brilliance. Nope, just a cosmic accident. Let's get real for a second. What Eala did at Indian Wells was not luck, it was a statement. A statement that the old guard's monopoly on tennis excellence is crumbling. Gauff represents the Western-centric model, the traditional pathway, American tennis academies, corporate sponsorships, prime-time TV slots.
Eala, she represents the new wave, the Asian market, the demographic shift that is quietly rewriting the economics of professional tennis. While everyone was busy crowning the next American superstar, the rest of the world was developing talent that doesn't just compete, it dominates. Eala is not an outlier, she is the vanguard. Asian players aren't just participating anymore, they are winning, accumulating titles, signing endorsement deals that make Western brands sweat. The tennis economy is globalizing, and players like Eala are cashing in. She's not playing for scraps, she's building an empire. Now, let's talk about strategy, because this is where Eala showed she's playing chess while everyone else is figuring out how the pieces move. Her strategy against Gauff was not about matching power with power, it was about exploiting weaknesses. Gauff's backhand? Targeted relentlessly. Her movement patterns? Predictable and punished. Eala didn't just study Gauff's game, she dissected it. Every vulnerability was cataloged, every tendency was weaponized. This is preparation meeting opportunity. Eala knew that Gauff thrives on rhythm. She loves those baseline rallies where she can use her speed and power to dictate play. So what did Eala do? Disrupted that rhythm at every turn. Changed pace, altered spin, moved Gauff around the court like a puppet on strings. By the time Gauff figured out what was happening, she was down a set and scrambling to adjust. But adjustments are hard when your opponent keeps changing the rules.
And then there's the media angle. Oh, the media. They love their storylines, do not they? The rise of Coco Gauff has been packaged and marketed like a Hollywood blockbuster. Prime-time matches, magazine covers, inspirational interviews. She is the face of American tennis's future. So when Eala walks in and derails that train, crickets. Suddenly, the upset is downplayed. It is luck. It is a fluke. It is anything but what it actually is, a seismic shift. Because acknowledging Eala's brilliance means acknowledging that the narrative was wrong. That maybe the tennis world is bigger and more competitive than the Western media bubble wants to admit. Eala's victory was not just a win, it was a PR nightmare for the establishment. How do you sell the next American superstar when she just got outplayed by someone the casual fan has never heard of? You downplay it, you dismiss it, you call it luck, and hope everyone moves on by next week. But here's the thing, Eala is not going anywhere, and neither is the generation she represents. This is not a one-off upset, this is the beginning of a trend. The old model of tennis dominance, where a handful of Western players monopolize the spotlight and the prize money, is dying. The new model is distributed, globalized, competitive in ways that make every tournament unpredictable. Players like Eala are not just talented, they are savvy. They understand that tennis is not just a sport, it is a business. Eala is not just winning matches, she is building a brand that appeals to a billion-plus market in Asia. That is economic power, that is leverage, that is the future. While Western analysts are busy calling upsets luck, the new generation is quietly carving up the tennis economy and redistributing the spoils. Let us not forget the biomechanical aspect, because this is where things get technical. Eala's technique is not flashy, but it is devastatingly effective. Compact strokes, high contact point, efficient weight transfer. These are not things you develop overnight. This is years of coaching and disciplined practice. While Gauff's game relies on athleticism and power, Eala's game is built on precision and economy of movement. What does that mean? It means Eala can sustain her level longer. She does not tire as quickly. She does not make unforced errors swinging for the fences. She plays percentages. She plays smart. And in a long match, smart beats strong every time. Gauff found that out the hard way. By the third set, she was dragging. Eala, still fresh, still focused, still executing like she was following a recipe. Now, picture the aftermath.
Gauff walks off the court shell-shocked, her team scrambling to figure out what just happened, the analysts awkwardly pivoting to damage control mode. Meanwhile, Eala is probably already reviewing match footage, identifying areas for improvement, and planning her next move, because that's what champions do. They don't rest on victories, they use them as fuel. And make no mistake, Eala is not satisfied with one upset. She is building momentum. She is stacking wins. She is proving that her victory was not an anomaly. It was a preview. The ripple effects of this match will be felt for years. Gauff will have to adjust. Her team will have to reassess. The media will have to recalibrate their narratives. And other players, they are taking notes. Because if Eala can do it, so can they. The blueprint is there. Study your opponent, exploit their weaknesses, stay disciplined, execute the plan. This requires mental toughness and strategic thinking that separates good players from great ones. Eala just showed the world she belongs in the latter category. And the scary part for her opponents, she's just getting started. So let us circle back to that analyst who called it luck. Maybe they genuinely believe that. Maybe they are so invested in the old narratives that they cannot see the new reality taking shape. Or maybe they know exactly what this victory represents, and they are trying to downplay it before it gains traction. Because once the narrative shifts, once people start recognizing that the tennis world is changing, there's no putting that genie back in the bottle. The endorsement dollars will follow the eyeballs, the media coverage will follow the stories, and the stories, they are increasingly coming from players who don't fit the traditional mold. In the end, this match was not just about tennis, it was about economics, it was about demographics, it was about power shifting from one generation to another, from one continent to another. Eala didn't just beat Gauff, she sent a message that the future of tennis is not going to be dictated by a handful of Western powers. It is going to be contested, fiercely and brilliantly, by a global roster of talent that refuses to be ignored. And if you still think that's luck, you're not paying attention. Stick around, folks, because Eala is not done making headlines, and the tennis world, it's gonna have to adjust. This was not luck. This was a masterclass. This was a statement. This was Eala announcing her arrival, and anyone who dismisses it as anything less is missing the entire point. The game has changed, the players have evolved, and the old playbook, it just got torn up and rewritten. Welcome to the new era of tennis. It's gonna be one wild ride.